George Sutton was an iron brig of 400 gross tons, launched May 1866, having been built by George Robinson and Co of Cork. The launching ceremony was watched by about 100 men who worked at the shipyard. At precisely 6 p.m, Miss Whelan, the future captain's daughter, broke a bottle of Irish whiskey on the bow and named her George Sutton. The stays were struck away to allow the ship to glide gracefully down the slipway into the water. The ship was decorated in flags and streamers of all colours. George Sutton, the owner of the ship, was praised in the press for the great enterprise he showed as a private individual. The ship, he explained, was for the coasting trade, which they had a number of ships profitably engaged. This ship was very similar to the last launch of another sister ship. Margaret Sutton was also nearly ready to launch. The George Sutton, though, was straight away off to be fitted out and soon to be at work in the coasting trade, and by July she was at work. It had been a busy year for George, as his daughter Margaret was also married in this year. The George Sutton was a hard-working ship for many years. By 1883, luck was about to run out. In July that year, while waiting to unload, tied to a mooring buoy, the ship swung on the tide, and as the tide dropped, a mushroom anchor, a weight on the seabed shaped like an upside-down mushroom, pulled free, and the iron shaft protruding upwards pierced a hole in the George Sutton's garboard, the area next to the keel underneath the ship. As the tide came back in, the George Sutton filled with water and the sea covered her completely. At low tide she was patched up and then pumped out, then to a slipway for something of an overhaul. On the 27th of August, the George Sutton, with a cargo of coal and a crew of 7, left the Tyne. Dennis Whelan had both his sons on board, one of them only joining the ship at Newcastle. We can only guess at the voyage down the east coast, but when they passed the Downs and started to head west down channel, there was a storm building. The storm that covered the UK did immense damage far and wide. In Portsmouth, houses had their fronts blown in. Of 150 yachts in Dartmouth for the regatta, nearly all sustained damage. The steamship Irish of the Glasgow and Londonderry Steam Packet Company was blown onto the rocks and wrecked. Newspaper reports for the 1st and 2nd of September are littered with reports of boats and ships of all shapes and sizes being sunk or damaged, as well as the damage that was being incurred on land. The 400-ton sailing ship George Sutton headed straight into it. At Eastbourne during the Saturday night and the Sunday morning, the storm raged with great severity. The waves are described as leaping 30 feet high at half tide. Part of the east end of the town was flooded. The sea wall, works and pier were damaged, and the regatta pavilion broken up by the sea, which washed over the high walls. Thousands of spectators watched where the water entered Marine Drive. At Beachy Head, Burling Gap, Pevensey Bay to St Edwards, the storm raged with unabated violence and had not subsided by the evening. Considerable damage to property is reported in the district. At Portland, a tremendous sea swept over Chesil Beach, destroying nearly half a mile of the Portland railway line. The George Sutton didn't really have a chance. Her hold full of coal, the crew probably fought for their lives, with no engine, no radio and no help. Probably in the early hours of the Sunday morning was when the George Sutton was finally overwhelmed and went to the bottom with all 7 crew. There were no survivors. 105 years later, Tim Benito, or one of his divers on the charter vessel he ran, finally ID'd the wreck that laid on the bottom as the George Sutton by the name on the ship's will.
Here we have the toilet from the George Sutton, the iron sailing vessel. It's all brass, got a china inner which is quite ornate. Lead pipe coming out the side, that's for the soil to come out. The pump around the back for pumping the water out to flush. There's a little flap in the bottom, lets the water through. It's a plunger. Put that back. And Robert found a plate with the same pattern There's this toilet pan. What's that there then, Robert?
Oh, this is off the George Sutton as well.
Very nice.
An old jug. It's one of my favourite things. I don't find much, but this off the George Sutton come off the bow. It was underneath the trawl net. It's really nice. The camera don't really pick it up, but you can see the fingerprints. It's not been glazed, this one, but you can still see fingerprints in there. If you can pick them up or not, but they're all in there, and there's some indentations where the fingers were. Yeah, it's pretty. I don't know what you'd say, rough cast or something, or it's not been glazed anyway. So
very nice.
Pretty rough and ready.
Handmade.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice piece. There's no chips out of it or anything, so I really like that. It's about 105 years old now. But my mate who I was diving with, he found one on the same day on the same dive. Up in that was up in the bow as well. But his is glazed. And I'll put a picture up. I'll put a picture there. Yeah, it's nice.
Lovely find.
Yeah, thank you. So where's the barge? Where's the ammunition barge then? Whereabouts do you reckon that was that blew up?
I think it went ashore around here somewhere, below the Coast Guard.
Okay, below Coast Watch.
Yeah, and it apparently such a big explosion it blew the windows out some of the houses in New Haven. There is another barge of some description just here, upside down. Not much of a dive, I don't think. There's a pile of blocks over here as well, not too far away. It's quite interesting. That was a wooden vessel of some sort, carrying granite blocks by the looks of it.
Yeah, there's lots in Dive Sussex that's listed around here. We've run up here with a side scan and had a look for a lot of stuff, but like a lot of it's been covered up. That area up there we call the gullies. Big fingers of rock that stick out, a good few metres deep, those gullies, and all sorts of things have been found in there. There's lots of ship's timbers. Yeah, in this area there's a Harlequin went up with half a dozen other ships went up all along this bit in one night. So there's no end of timbers down there.
There was a bronze swivel cannon found along here as well, wasn't there?
Some scale. Yeah, last year Jamie found this. Sure what it is. Is that a bronze axe head?
I don't know, Robert. I'm not sure what I'd be looking at, to be honest.
It looked more bronze axe head underwater.
Looks like a bit of old someone's propeller to me.
Yeah, could well be.
Yeah. I've got some other bits you might be interested in. Found those last year.
Been swinging the lead again, eh?
Yeah.
Old sounder.
Sound weight for the sailing vessels. And put a bit of wax or a bit of greasy stuff in the bottom, chuck it over the side on a bit of rope, and then you can count, see how deep it is by how much rope's gone over, and then pull it up, and then you can see what the seabed's made of, what's in the wax at the bottom. Another these as well.
Got another one.
Yeah, that must have been a bigger sailing vessel. Quite nice.
That's not a sounding weight.
No,
That's a sounding weight.
There again, hollow bottom.
That
And it's all found off the shore here.
looks more like a punishment, having to swing that thing and pull it up.
Yeah.
It won't fit in there.
You just watch me.
Oh, you're going to go in here. You know how I did it perfectly the other day with like a gnat's whisker space. First time. I'm not in the way, am I?
Yeah, typical, isn't it?
This is twice the size though, this space. I hope you liked the video. If you did, then please click like and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and we'll try and make a few more videos. Yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Cheers.